The Villa are back in Premier League action this weekend as we host Brentford at home, and we need to get a result in the Premier League and keep on that grind, keep on that march towards what could be, who knows, a Premier League title. Might sound crazy, but anyway, we've just got a decent result at home against Salzburg, which really wasn't looking like a decent result. At 60th minute, I think myself and everyone else in the stadium, including Cory, were probably in the position where we thought, what on earth have we come to Villa Park to see tonight? But anyway, should we talk about the Brentford game this weekend?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the latest episode of B6 and Beyond. You are here with me and Cory to discuss what to expect from the Brentford game this weekend and just have a general chat about Aston Villa ahead of the weekend. Cory, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So just want to let you all know, guys, a quick reminder, we do have an ongoing giveaway for either match tickets or a shirt of your choice. All that you need to do to qualify for that is make sure to smash that subscribe button, and we give away that every 500 subs. We are getting close to the next giveaway, so don't miss out. We're going to, you know what? Premier League action, Villa at home. Let's go for a like goal. Let's smash those likes and let's get up to 25 likes for the video. Right, straight into it. Obviously, one of the concerning bit of news is that Ollie Watkins potentially is going to miss the game. Obviously, had the scan, it come through that there wasn't any major damage, and the fact that he could make the game 50-50 is what obviously we're hearing. And Tammy Abraham is available for selection, which alleviates the concerns there. But it's always concerning when you hear that Ollie Watkins obviously has picked up a potential knock and he could potentially miss the game ultimately. Look, as much as Tammy will be a fantastic addition to the side, he's just come through the door. He's still getting up to speed with Unai Emery's system, his style of play. I think it's, he's a top level footballer. Let's be realistic, and he'll be able to do a job for us. But it's not the same, I don't think personally, than having a full pledged Ollie Watkins who is fully integrated, fully ingrained in that system, and such an integral part to how we play. What are your thoughts on that, Cory?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head when you said, obviously, integrated's the key word there. Is when it comes to Ollie Watkins, he knows the system inside and out. He's been Emery's first choice since he obviously came to the club. And we've seen, obviously, with the likes of Duran, Danny Ings, Marlon, in the time where Emery's been at the club, they've not managed to sort of fulfil that sort of role and take over from Watkins. And I think, like you say, Tammy Abraham's a very good player, and I've got no doubt that he will be able to come back in and help the Villa. I just think for him starting from the get-go, if it doesn't work naturally from his first start, which hopefully it does, but it might not do, you're then looking at the bench and saying, right, well, who do you bring on then to fulfil that role? Because there's no guess on now either. Obviously, he's gone to Palace, who would have probably been the second option as striker. You could do Morgan Rogers like we did on Thursday, potentially. But, yeah, I think it'll be a big miss if he's not there. But I do have full faith in Tammy that he'll be able to come in and create something. And to be honest with you, I think with the fact that they know about Watkins, Emery's going to be... I mean, Emery's a tactical genius. He would have adapted plays so it would suit Tammy if he does start the game.
Yeah, we'll have a discussion about what we think the team will be, I'm sure, within the next few minutes or so. But I just want to touch on the opposition coming to Villa Park, and Brentford have been on fire, to be honest, this season. They've slipped down to 8th now, but at one point they were touching the Champions League places, which is absolutely wonderful. And the job that Keith Andrews has done, the job he's done this year is nothing short of commendable, especially the fact that they lost Christian Norgard. Obviously, Thomas Frank went, and then there was other key players that left them, including in Burmo. Brentford were looked at as a potential dark horse to go down this year. I personally thought they would really struggle this year myself, and I'm sure most other football fans listening to this podcast that thought the same. If you don't believe, don't agree with me, and you think I'm full of shit, and you didn't think that in the summer, please let me know in the comment section. But in the summer, I was really convinced in August that they were going to struggle this season. And fair play to them; they've done fantastic. Obviously, it does help when you've got a goal scorer who scored you 16 Premier League goals already this campaign after 23 games played now. Sorry, that's incredible numbers. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say that that he's a wonderful world class striker, because I don't think that is appropriate at this point. It's his first season in the Premier League. We've had one season wonders come to the Premier League, do really well, and then materialise to be absolutely nobody's. Like, look at the old meat chew. Like, there's loads of options. I mean, loads of options, loads of examples of players like that. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. But we need to give Brentford full credit for what they have done this season. They've done remarkable.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, I was one of them. I think we did a predictions video at the start of the season, and I think I said to you that if one of the newly promoted teams were to stay up, I thought it would be Brentford that would slip into that category of going down, just with, obviously, like you say, with the players they lost, Norgard and Buemo, Visser, Thomas Frank leaving as well. It was a big thing for them, and obviously Keith Andrews it's his first managerial job. It's a massive thing to sort of throw yourself into. Obviously, a team that's not got the best sort of finances in the world, they're not the richest club, and he's having to say, right, you've got this job of keeping us in the Premier League, and he's gone above and beyond, and he's probably partial to bringing back the long throw-ins. Obviously, Michael Cory has got a massive throw-in on him, and I think that's one thing we're going to have to be careful of this weekend, because I remember at what's it called? What's that stadium called now?
The G-Tech.
At the G-Tech, yeah, they absolutely murdered us with their throw-ins. I mean, we probably could have lost that game 3 or 4-0, just because of those sort of things. They've also got Kevin Schade. I mean, he's always been a player who has been sort of touted to become a very top talent, and I think this season he's really come into his own, and he's started to produce goals as well. So, listen, it's not going to be an easy game. We've lost them twice this season already, so that we've got something that we've got to give back to them. But it's not going to be an easy game at all.
Yeah, you touched on 2 points that I was going to cover then, and the 1 point was the fact that we have lost them twice technically. Obviously, we had the cup game, which we lost on penalties to them, and obviously the league game, which we got beaten. To be honest, I don't think we were the worst side that game. In my personal opinion, I actually think we deserve to get something from that game. I think we should have beat them, but hey ho. We didn't. That's life. And obviously they got the goal, and they just sat in and made it difficult for us, and we weren't creating many chances at that time. But this is a game for me. I'll go on to another point I want to talk about in a minute, but this is a game for me that we have to win. It's as simple as that. At Villa Park, we are absolutely phenomenal. Barring that blip against Everton, obviously we had the Crystal Palace game at the start of the season. We've been pretty much untouchable at Villa Park, and I just go into this game now, regardless of the injuries, regardless of that no excuse culture, we have to go there and we have to beat them, and we have to put the pressure on Arsenal. Again, this isn't me saying that we have a chance of winning the league, but for all we know, we could be going into that game knowing that we could win and close the gap on Arsenal, because Leeds away isn't going to be an easy walk in the park for Arsenal, I don't think. I think Leeds will make that a very difficult game. I know some people may be apprehensive with that, considering Arsenal did go and beat them 5-0, but that was at the Emirates. The Emirates will be a completely different ball game to what it will be at Ellen Road. So who knows? We could be going into position on Sunday. If we win, we close the gap to Arsenal, let's part of the title talk anyway. I just wanted to make that point. But at one point I want to make on Brentford, as you touched on Michael Cory there and Kevin Schade. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity really to talk about Brentford players, and if there's players that you do fear. And I think Michael Cory is probably one of the best right backs in the Premier League at the moment. I think he's been a very, very good astute signing, and he's personally a player that I've watched a lot of. I watched him a lot in Italy as well. I think he's got a fantastic career ahead of himself. He's going to be one of the best right backs in the world, in my opinion. That might sound like I'm blowing smoke up his arse, but I just think he's absolutely he's brilliant, defensively resolute, very good going forward as well. And his throw, as you've just touched on, he's so dangerous. He will go to a top club. He's one threat that I would be very concerned of. Obviously got Django Utara as well, who's done pretty well there. But obviously the one which is the obvious standout is, Igor Thiago. He has scored 16 Premier League goals, and when he does seem to score, he doesn't seem to score one. He seems to score in flurries of them as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, they've got a few sort of good players. They've made a few shoot signings, and obviously, like I say, Shard is starting to come good now a bit. Even someone like Keane Lewis Potter, he's grown massively as a player over the last few years. from where sort of I remember when he signed from Hull and everyone was like, oh, he's the next big thing, and it took him probably a year or two to adapt to the league, and now he's starting to adapt and he's getting popping up with goals and things like that. Like I say, Michael Cody's a brilliant player. I think the key on Saturday is Villa Park. I mean, listen, you've been to obviously a lot of home games. Well, every home game this season in the league. I've obviously been to the Europa League games, but the one thing I always notice, and it's one thing that me and you have a good conversation about, is the atmosphere is terrible. And these sort of games now, we can't go into it thinking, oh, it's only Brentford. We'll like as fans, we'll just leave it be, that sort of thing. I mean, we were sat in the Doug Ellis on Thursday. You can hear the Holt. The Holt was getting behind the Villa fans. No one else sings. It's just the Holt, and it's like that can't be the case now. If we want to be taken seriously as title contenders and we want to see Aston Villa win trophies, that whole stadium has to out outsinging. I mean, no offense to Brentford, but they're not a massive club. They've got their own fan base, whatever. But we need to be out singing them, and it's that thing of if a throw in does go in and it starts bouncing around the box, something a bit risky, the fans can't get on players' backs. We know we're not good at defending sort of throw-ins and things like that. That's one thing that we do struggle with, but it has to be, the fans need to be there. We've seen it so many times, the players saying, you've got to be on top of us. I mean, Ming said it after the Salzburg game. He said that they could sense the fans getting frustrated. And to be fair, they were awful on Thursday. There's no denying that. Up until the 60th minute when we sort of got the goal, we were poor. But the players will sense that, and it's that unnerving thing of, if you're a centre-back getting the ball and you hear 40,000 people just breathing in whatever, it puts a bit on you as well. So we need to be on top form as fans.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you to an extent. I think a lot of the home atmospheres in the Premier League is pretty poor unless it's certain games. But I do agree with you in the sense that it is, we need to get behind the team. Ultimately, we've got eight more Premier League games at home this season. 8 Premier League wins. If we was to get 8 wins at home, would give us 24 points. With 24 points, we would already be on the 70-point mark. You think you only need to pick up a good few wins away from home then as well, and that's when you're talking about potential titles. So we should be looking at every single game at home as a cup final now and push the lads over the line. It might sound very dramatic, really, considering we are only just about to touch February. But look, this is the importance of it. Every single game is massive now. Like, we go to, obviously we got this game, then we go to Bournemouth. If we can beat Bournemouth, then beat Brentford, beat Bournemouth, then it starts to snowball, starts getting more wins, and then you're getting closer to March, then you're getting closer to April, and that if you don't do the work in February and March, then that April, of course, you're not going to be in the race. But currently, in January, as it is now, January 30th, as the time of recording this episode, and by the time you watch it, it will be the 31st of January. We are 4 points off the league leaders, and we are in a title race. That is the crux of it. So we need to, as Villa fans now, rally behind the troops and get behind the boys. This should be perceived that, like the running for when we got Europa Conference League, I would love nothing more than the streets. I've been down to I've been here every home game, the 11 home games this season. I've been to every single one, and I've gone to the fan to welcome the players in with the rest of the Villa fans quite a lot of the times. And I'll be honest with you, the atmosphere there, just seeing the players come in, is shit. It's poor. It's like sometimes it's like a funeral of seeing the players come off. Sometimes it's decent. I'll have a bit of a cheer, but for that Conference League season when we just got that, I remember floods of people in those streets. The flares were out. Everything was out. The chants were going. It was raucous, making a proper atmosphere. JJ was saying it's just conference. You know what I mean? Like that sort of like atmosphere. I think we need to sort of replicate that leading into the back end of the season. I've been, and then also when we're in that stadium, it's us against them mentality, siege mentality. Let's get over the line. That's my piece on that. I won't go over it too much, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. But this is a massive game. Every game now is massive. With 6 wins, in my opinion, from what I've worked out, 6 wins will get us Champions League this season. Obviously, we'll get a few draws here and there, but I don't want just to be focused on that. Like, why can't we go on and push on and look at challenging Arsenal? Like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've said it to you and Matt multiple times. I said, if we set our sights on the Champions League, we will slip out of that top four because you're setting yourself up for a certain thing. If we settle for we are going to try and win this title, we'll finish in the top four because the idea will be we're pushing those top two, and if we're pushing those top two and we're getting results, hopefully, I mean, obviously, we all want it to be at the end of the season that we're lifting the trophy, but if we're just pushing them to the final day and we don't quite do it, we're still guaranteed third. If you start to slip and say, oh, well, as long as we finish in the top four, we're all right, that's when you start to slip in games. And then all of a sudden, you've got people like Man United who I know they've only won 2 games in a row, but they're playing some good football under Michael Carrick. They can start to pick up points. Liverpool, I know we've said it a few times, it's not happened yet, but they will start to win games. Chelsea have started to sort of pick up points now, and even teams like Newcastle, who are obviously a bit further out, they've still got the sort of quality where they could go on a run of games and winning games. It's you don't
Yeah, I'm
want to
not.
let you don't want to let too many teams back in though. That's what I mean. Like I'm not I'm not saying that Newcastle will be there or whatever, but they are a team that are challenging for that top five. You don't want to be then in the mix of all those teams challenging for top five. We just want to be in that top three and challenging for the title.
Yeah, well, if we win against Brentford, I'm pretty confident because that Liverpool will beat Newcastle and we will open up a 16-point gap to Newcastle, so they're dead and buried for me. But as for Liverpool, 10-point gap at the moment. Keep that. Just keep maintaining that. Chelsea this weekend have got West Ham at home, which they should be beating. Really, West Ham at home, but this is
Most
Chelsea.
informed team in the league.
Well,
West
that's
Ham.
the point. Yeah, this is the point I was going to make. West Ham need points at the end of the day. They're going to be scrapping for points. So who knows? A shock could be on the cards there. And there's been lots of shocks in the Premier League over the last few months this season in general. To be honest with you, and I think we could see a couple this weekend. Like I say, I think Arsenal might struggle. But back to the Villa, I think it's probably a good point really to talk about what we want from the Villa in terms of team news.
Yeah.
So obviously I think it goes without said the goalkeeper and the back four will pick itself, which will be Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres, and then it'll be Ian Matson for the game on the weekend. I know you might think about Tyra Mings potentially to come in to replace Pau maybe for Ego. I remember you mentioned that, but I don't think that'll happen.
I would have said yes if Pau Torres played on Thursday, but he didn't play on Thursday, which would make you think that it's going to be Pau Torres. He's not going to rest him for a game and then not play him. And to be fair, we need to break through the lines.
The big question: does Douglas Luiz come straight in? Because I think he does.
Yeah, I think he will. I think for me, I love Lamar Bogard. I mean, me and you speak lyrical about him. I think on Thursday he wasn't great. I know he played at right back for a lot of the game, but even when he went into midfield, he wasn't the best. Obviously, George Hemmings is a young lad. He obviously didn't have the best sort of performance against Salzburg, and then you look and say, listen, Douglas Luiz is an experienced pro. He's had these times with Villa where it's in a run and it's crucial games. He knows what he's supposed to be doing, and Onana will do the Kamara role, which frees up Dougie to do the Tielemans role.
So Douglas Luiz, Onana, Jadon Sancho, Morgan Rogers, Buendia, and then up top Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, I don't see much change in that unless Ollie Watkins is actually fit. And if Ollie Watkins is fit, he plays, but I don't think he will be.
He does. I think even if he's fit, I just don't think he starts. I think if they're having to assess him, it seems silly to start him.
This is Emery though, man. Emery doesn't. True. How often does he start new? Like I get it. They've played at the football club. Douglas Luiz is an exception for me because he's played under Emery at the football club, so he knows exactly what Emery wants. He knows his style. He knows his tactics. He knows everything. So Douglas Luiz, I think, will transition very quickly. Tammy, on the other hand, if Ollie Watkins is 80%, 90% ready, I think he starts the game. Yeah, that's just Emery for me. I don't think he'd throw him straight in unless Ollie Watkins is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair shout. It's difficult to say, isn't it? It's obviously, like you say, we know what Emery's like. He probably won't change it. There is always that concern of if Watkins isn't 100%, do you really want to try? Sort of, he obviously I know it's a different example because Marlon had been at the club for a few years. Obviously, there was that Chelsea game where he wasn't 100% and Marlon started. Obviously, it's, like I said, it's a different scenario because Tammy's only been here a week, whereas Marlon's been there for a year and a half. Not even a
Let's
year
be
and a half.
let's be realistic. If Ollie Watkins is fit, and there is that potential that he had an injury, why would Emery come out in the press conference like, yeah, no, Ollie Watkins is fine, he'll play? You know, does it could be smoke screening a little bit and making them think, oh, should we prepare for Tammy? Oh, should we prepare for Ollie? You know what I mean? These mind games can happen in football. Not to say that Emery is doing that, but it has the possibility that that is the case. So I think the team we're quite set on. It's just that striker who that is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I could see Tammy play, but I think if Watkins is in a decent enough place to play, he will play and he will start the game. So obviously the record against Brentford at Villa Park is pretty all right. It's not fantastic, but under Emery, it's 1 win, 1 draw. They you know, I just think we've got to go into the game and we've got to beat them. As for their team news, as far as I can see from the bits that I'm reading, the only players that they're really missing are Fabio Carvalho, who's in and out anyway, so not really that much of an important player. JD Silva, and then Milambo. So it's not really players that Josh De Silva, not JD Silva. Josh De Silva, and then Anthony Milambo, who's been out for pretty much most of the season. So they're not really missing. They've got quite a clean bill of health in comparison to us with Alisson, Garcia, but Kamara, McGinn, and Tielemans, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth. But it is what it is. No excuse culture from Aston Villa Football Club. We'll go there and we will put it on Brentford. I'm hoping it will be us doing a lot of the running, a lot of the ball, rather than Brentford. I think they'll come to Villa Park and they'll try and make it a little bit difficult for us. But I'm not 100% sure on that because their last game against Chelsea, which they lost 2-0, they did not deserve to lose that game 2-0. I think personally they should have got at least a draw out of that. They played really well against Chelsea. Just didn't take chances. Whereas the game against Nottingham Forest, how are you losing 2-0 to Forest? They are crap.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've watched either of them, to be honest. Obviously, we were on at the time when they played Forest. I didn't really watch any of the highlights or anything, so it's one I know Forest a bit of form now. As with all of the sort of relegation teams have decided they're going to start picking up points. We've said how important it is. We just have to go there and win, and I think anything less than a win isn't good enough, and that's simply put. Like, that's no disrespect to Brentford at all. Like, they are a very good team and they're very well structured under Keith Andrews. And like you say, there is a good chance that they may just sit back, lap up the pressure, and rely on those sort of long throw-ins and stuff like that. You did mention earlier when we played them at their place, like, we probably were the better team, just couldn't find the net. But at the same time, they sat back, lapped that up. Should have had a second goal where Martinez jumped into their player and did typical Martinez style, just flapped at it and got away with one on that day. But ultimately, like I say, if we want to be taken seriously, we have to win.
Yeah, I do agree with you, mate. Is there anything else you want to touch on the game?
I think we've covered it all.
No, I think we've had a good chat there. Like, ladies and gentlemen, if you have made it to this point, thank you for watching as always. Just if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. We really do appreciate all the support that we get on the channel. And final one from me and Cory, as always, up the Villa.